I was lucky enough to be part of the crew casting and commentating and producing the first weekend of Stored Championship Regionals in the OP07 format for July in the One Piece trading card game. Before I get into any of the information in this video, I want to give a huge shout out to People's Card Shop, putting in a ton of money and effort in order to make the stream happen, the tournament happen. A lot of bodies came together in order to produce this event, the biggest event they've ever had, and also the biggest stream they've ever had. We live streamed it, and you guys were awesome. But coming into this event, there were a lot of questions left in the unknown in OP07, and there were a ton of surprises specifically in this regional that I think could influence a lot of the OP07 metagames. So before we get anywhere in terms of looking at specific lists, let's look at what the group of people, everybody who entered in the tournament, what the meta share was. And so this is the metagame breakdown right here. I don't think that this is going to be a surprise to a ton of people in this event. Red Purple Law being the most populous deck in the format. The next three populous decks, which took in combination with Red Purple Law about almost 75% of the meta as a whole. You had Black Yellow Luffy, Bonnie, and Enel all having the same amount. I think my biggest surprise in this meta share when we first saw it and took a look around at the tables in round one of what the leaders were, that so many people believed in Bonnie. So many people brought Bonnie to this event. And in turn, those numbers cut back on Rob Luchi being 4 overall, and then Bo Hancock being the only other multi-numbered leader in this tournament. Quick correction before you all call me out in the comments. This right here should say OP05 Luffy. I'm sorry, that's a typo. I was making it really fast right after round one ended, trying to get it up as soon as possible. But going into the top 16 though, Enel stole the show, had the best conversion rate out of any deck. Only 3 of the Enels that made it into the event did not make top 16, dominating with 6 of them overall. 3 of them Bonnie, 3 of them Red Purple Law. It seems like the Enel and the Bonnie just had a really good matchup overall with the Red Purple Law. Don't tell me about the overall. One thing there is to note though about several of these lists, especially the Jewelry Bonnie list, the Jewelry Bonnie list, especially at the top tables, because it performed arguably the best in the event, there are vastly different builds that were in this tournament of Jewelry Bonnie. So really giving the flexibility and showcasing the different styles of play that Bonnie could have, just depending on like what cards you own. And so going into the top 8, both 7th and 8th place were rocking Red Purple Law. This one opting for the Beppos. Beppo, I know, is a huge conversation in terms of Red Purple Law players of whether they like it or not. But one thing is certain, people really like the idea of Miss All Sunday and Zoro Juro in lists. I personally really like Zoro Juro. I think it's a very interesting card, and Miss All Sunday, especially with that trigger, can be game changing. We've seen that in a couple different videos on our channel, especially in like the OP08 format or the late OP07 format. This list by Jonathan Job also running the Zoros, that SR from OP01, a great addition into the deck, especially as another rush character to continuously put on pressure on your opponent alongside the Kid and Killers. Now this list, looking at Doom Train's version, Sanji is one of the key components that is in this deck. No Otamas in this list. Your 2K of choice that you can utilize as well is Sanji. The Sanji is really nice in my opinion, especially because there were such good Enels in here. Sanji is a really good card for that Enel matchup, to be able to put a lot of pressure, to be able to start swinging early, and also lower the value of other cards in the Enel decks like Gadatsu. Choosing a combination of that and also 4 queens, 4 Miss All Sundays, lots of 4s in this list, trying to be consistent with a couple different techs like the Shariah, that blocker that is so good, being able to copy your opponent's leader's power, and then also a 1 of Ace. Even though not getting that rush benefit in the list, sometimes just that minus 2000 power is so good when you can't find a Gordon or a Raise Max. We've seen that in the different Japan tournaments, right? players playing the Otama or the Toy Promo Law. So ideally, especially with the draw that you get from the Queens and the Reijus, you're looking to be able to find this. Now, seeing Yam's list, this was the only Rob Luchi in top 16 of the tournament. Very interesting to see Rob Luchi not do so hot in this tournament in general, but seeing here, it's the usual build that we like to see. A couple different tech options though in this. Going to Brooks. To Brooks is a nice card, I feel like, in Rob Luchi. I've loved it in at least the OP08 videos that we've been watching, but having a couple different other options like the Monkey Day Luffy, right, that came in OP07, that monster zombie Luffy, really a good late game attacker, right? When you're trying to get some final swings and you've built up your trash to a really good amount, getting that extra power on the when attacking to bottom deck your characters can be so good at the late stages of the game. Not a dawn commitment at all to get that power boost. To each of the blocker Sabos, and also the Stussy as a one of is so nice, especially in different situations when you have these big bodies on the field. There are just sometimes, you know, maybe you didn't ever see stage or get it off of life. Maybe you didn't have a Tempest Kick or an Ice Age that turn because there's only 6 of those in combination of your deck. You have no way to minus these characters, especially like an opposing Gecko or maybe a 10-drop Doflamingo, right? In these Bonnie lists, the 9-cost Stussy is so good to be able to just trash one of those characters that you just can't get rid of, right? 8-drop Eustace Captain Kidd could be a card that is played in a ton of different Bonnie decks. So if you find yourself having trouble getting around stuff like that, Stussy is a great answer to those cards. Now, moving into the top 5 decks of this tournament, 3 of them are going to be Enel. So Enel not only having a great conversion rate into the top 16, right? 6 of the 9 of them making it into the top 16, but 3 of the 6 of those in top 16 making it to the top 5 placements in this tournament. Absolutely insane. Rounding out the top 5 is Unlight, one of our Las Vegas locals. Really been grinding on the Enel as of late and playing a couple different cards that we see kind of, I would consider this version of his list to be a little bit more on the unique side of this. Not only playing the 2-drop Shirahoshi blockers, which a lot of people think are either like, you're really on the spectrum of like, it's a really good card in the deck, or you're like, it's a really bad card in the deck, I don't want to play it. Especially with black, yellow Luffy's and potentially Rob Luchi's as well, flooding the room, KOing things left and right. You can secure yourself with a blocker or even get the benefit of a life off of it. You're also playing a couple different starter deck 13 cards in this list, which I found very interesting when reviewing the deck lists after the event. The Monkey Day Luffy, that 5-drop there, and also the 5-drop Sabo. Now we know how strong that 5-drop Monkey Day Luffy is from starter deck 13. It's played in all black yellow Luffy decks and is such a great card, especially at certain stages of the game, to help you be able to get down in life and really balance yourself at times. Especially for more pesky characters, Sabo is another great option to kind of take your life away a little bit to get to that balance, get that Ace some rush, maybe get some Yamato healing, and just prove to be good cards overall to include. This is definitely the spiciest, I feel like, of the different decks. And then you've got Raigo there, or I think it's like called Kingdom Come in English, I'm not exactly sure. And then 1 copy of You're the One That Should Disappear. And now we've got Ron's list here for you, the 4th place list in this tournament. It has a little bit of spice of its own with that 7-drop 9,000 power vanilla Charlotte Compote I'm not sure how to say it. This one having a little bit of different style, playing plenty of You're the One That Should Disappear, does not want to have dead cards in head, dead extra cards when you're playing 4 Katakuris, you're playing 4 Aces, you're playing 4 Yamatos. You just want almost everything to have a lot of counter on it, especially when you're also playing 4 Raigos. The 7-drop ended up proving super useful in this tournament. We actually saw it on one of our stream games. The VOD will be up soon. Don't worry, we'll talk about that later. But also playing a lot for the draw in this list. You've got 4 of Shirahoshi's in here. Shirahoshi, just a very nice card. And also respecting the vanilla Perospero as well. Perospero, we've seen emerge into these Enel lists, and Ron decided to take it to the next level, and it earned him his Nationals invite. Now, this 3rd place list ended up being the highest Enel placement of the tournament. This is Imperius, another one of our Las Vegas locals. Shout out to him, good buddy of mine. Excellent job on this one. I know he's been grinding Enel for so long, it seems. One of the only Enel players to not play 4 Rygos. Really respects the value on Rygo, but doesn't play a 4 of in their list, instead opting for more of the Luffys. The 7-drop Enel being a very good card. We've seen it in some of the OP08 tournaments if you checked out the previous videos on the channel. It's just a really good card that forces your opponent to pivot, and a lot of people just aren't really sure how to deal with it, especially when you talk about decks like Rob Luchi, for example, right? Rob Luchi usually only has one opportunity to be able to KO this Enel by effects, and after usually committing so much Dawn to do so, it really becomes a nuisance on the field. But just like the others, 4 Katakuris, 4 Yamatos, 4 aces. Lots of big bodies in this deck for consecutive turns, and being the highest placing Enel, it boded well for him. But Bonnie stole the show in this one, taking the 2nd place spot on this list. This is Ricky P's version of the list. An excellent job piloting this. It was so exciting to play, and this is so interesting. I want to talk about this list specifically. You know that they play the Supernova package, right? But playing a little bit of Don Quixote Pirates package as well. The emphasis being on that 8-drop Rosinante. The 8-drop Don Quixote Rosinante is so good to be able to lay down different characters on the field, like Cavendish, like Bonnie, like X-Drake, like Monkey D. Luffy. The Monkey D. Luffy as a 3 of in this deck was one that myself and the other casters really did not expect when, you know, we went over the deck list afterwards and he was telling us how valuable that card is, especially because if you do not know what it is, this Monkey D. Luffy from OP07 says if you have 3 or more characters, your characters with a cost of 3 or less other than Monkey D. Luffy cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. Let's say you've got Hody Jones on the field. You're playing up against a Rob Luchi, and they end up using Ice Age on that Hody Jones, putting it down to 2. They go in and play a 4-drop Rob Luchi from OP05 to KO your Hody Jones and Baby 5 Searcher. But if you also have this Monkey D. Luffy on the field, both of those characters are kept safe, especially that Hody Jones, because that Hody Jones is a 2 cost at that point, and that is 3 or less. A really cool tech card. We didn't really get to see it in action in any of our stream games, but it was so cool to see and hear the reasoning from Ricky. I got to talk to him a little bit, you know, in between rounds and after the event. Just a really great guy, and a really, like, it was such a cool thing to hear, you know. But there are a ton of usual suspects in this. Basil Hawkins being such a good card in here. Hody Jones, a great threat for late stages in the game. You got your Rogue in there, Cavendishes as well, and several different searchers and 2Ks in the Supernova and Don Quixote Pirates package. But the winner of the event was another Las Vegas local in Kenny or Venera. Super excited to see, you know, one of our friends win in the event, but his list of Bunny is completely different than the one that got 2nd place that Ricky P played, and it's so exciting to me about this list. You've got the same type of searchers, right, in the Baby 5 and Jewelry Bunny, a light mix of Don Quixote Pirates and Supernovas. Sure, you're playing the Rogues, you're playing the Cavendishes, Jewelry Bonnie, Basil Hawkins, Hody Jones, and Don Quixote Doflamingo. But where the list differs is plenty of different options. The first one I want to talk about is the Rosinante in there. Instead instead of an 8-drop Rosinante, opting to play the 2-drop Rosinante really synergizes well with another card in this list, the 8-drop Eustace Captain Kidd back from OP01. Those two combinations of cards so good in this format, especially because the Rosinante has that effect on opponent's turn to substitute itself essentially on KO effects that may happen, really neutralizing like Black Yellow Luffy, neutralizing Rob Luchi, neutralizing Anel. And especially with those different decks being so populous in this event, it boded so well for him. Also in this list, opting for the Bartolomeo, the new 3-drop blocker that is coming in OP07. 4,000 power blocker, being able to draw one, trash one on turns is so good in general in this list, especially in different situations such as like the Hody Jones. Being able to draw one, trash one is so good on your turn. But focusing more on just another blocking option in synergy with something like the Eustace Captain Kidd is one of the big focuses of this card. Now, the last card that I want to talk about is my favorite card in this list. I remember when we were playing in locals the week like leading up to the event, I had to like read this card. I was like, what is this card? It's Dellinger. Now, Dellinger may not look like much from the Kingdoms of Intrigue set a little while ago, but as a 3-drop, once again, is great synergy with that Eustace Captain Kidd that you have, but the effect on it is one that I really want to maximize on. End of turn, set up to 1 Dawn as active. Think about how important the Erogue is. Most all Bonnie decks are going to be playing at least 3 of this card. Just an insane card that synergizes so well with your leader effect. But you can only play this card on your 4 Dawn or 5 Dawn turn. With Bellinger, you can guarantee that you can play this card on your 2nd turn, whether you're going 1st or 2nd. It's an excellent card on curve. It's an excellent card on your 4 Dawn turn, and is really, really nice, especially when you're on like your 9 Dawn turn, right? You've got your Eustace Captain Kidd, you lay that sucker down, you attach a Dawn to it, put down a Dellinger, and then be able to bring that Dawn back. Or even when you have a 9-cost Zoro that came on the field, which 9-cost Zoro was huge in the tournament for him. It's just a great addition. It's something that I have never seen anybody talk about. Kenny is the first person that I have seen play this card, and trust me, I watch a lot of videos, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I'm super stoked that he ended up winning it. Also, I gave him a pre-release Dellinger to help him like max rarity his deck, so I like to think that I also won the tournament. But that's going to be all. Thank you so much for watching. But before you go, again, thank you so much to everyone who came out to the store regional stream that we had over on the People's Card Shop on Twitch. Big shout out to People's Card Shop for allowing me to do my shenanigans and be able to cast alongside a lot of my friends for a really cool tournament that happened in their store. Videos as well, the VOD from that tournament, if you want to go watch that tournament, should be up tomorrow unless something disastrously goes wrong. And then also, I know like by the time this video comes out, a new Japan OP08 tournament will have been streamed and happen. I think round 2 of the Tokyo Championship Series. Those commentary videos will come out after I get the VOD of the store championship up, simply because I want to get that out first, because I made a deal with the store owner to be able to get access to that VOD and be able to post it on my channel. So I want to be able to do that. And then also, if you can't tell, there's nothing on these. Well, I mean, there's some things, but there's like mostly nothing here. I'm also in the process of moving into a new house. So if videos become a little stagnant right after we get through that championship tournament in Japan, it's because I'm moving. So I appreciate all your patience. Thank you again so much. I mean, I can't even explain how exciting the stream was. And I hope that you enjoyed this video.